Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of Unlocking Your Truth. And I hope you're all doing well. Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we have a different topic that we discuss under that general umbrella. And we actually broadcast on CIVL across the Fraser Valley on 101.7 FM from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation. And we're also available on all the major podcasting platforms. We pre-record the show 1 week in advance. And if you want to be part of the live audience, then you can follow my YouTube channel, or you can also join our Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group. And that way you get to join in the chat and you get to ask your questions live. And so tonight we are talking about angels.
Yes, angels.
Yes. And I see Corey's posted on Facebook a bunch of different questions about angels. So let's talk about what are angels.
Yes, what are the angels?
What are angels? So angels are we might think of them as a separate evolutionary strand that's different to us. We are physical beings, we incarnate in the physical world. Angels are energy beings. They don't have a physical body like we do. So they exist as spirit. And they are in service to the cosmic consciousness. We might say in service to God. So they're very spiritually focused beings. And unlike us, they are not caught in a veil of forgetfulness. So on earth, when we're incarnate in our bodies, we kind of forget the big picture about who we are. And we do that on purpose because we've chosen to come into this polarized world and to expand consciousness by being faced with choices and the gift of free will in order to make decisions about those choices, in order to have the results of that reflected back at us through time and space. That's how we learn. So we have to forget the big picture. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do that. Whereas the angelic realm do not have that same veil of forgetting. And so they have a big picture spiritual perspective. So they can be very, very helpful to us because they are able to see our lives, our dilemmas, our problems from a totally different vantage point than we are able to see. Yes, Corey.
Can I go to the washroom, please? No, the angels, well, people think of angels as specifically, I think, especially in Christian backgrounds, they think of angels as being created by God, quote unquote, as angels, where we're created as spirit. Excuse me, as spirit to and the two are separate and completely different. Is that how you see that, or?
So I think I was just explaining that we are both spirit. We are both aspects of divine consciousness. We are living in an incarnate form, and they are living not in flesh and blood and bones and bodies like we are, but we're both on an evolutionary pathway to God. They are in service to God. They are fully awake and aware of who they are, what their purpose is, and they organize themselves in order to carry out that purpose. Whereas we are under a purposefully selected veil of forgetting. So I thought I was just explaining that.
Yeah, but do we become angels, or can angels become us? Like, can they come to Earth as a human being, or as somewhere in the universe, in this reality?
So there are lots of stories that people might tell where they feel that they have encountered an angel, or an angel has manifested in human form in order to save them from a dilemma. You're shaking your head. Is that not what you meant by your question?
No, it's not what I meant by my question.
Well, ask it again.
So, can an angel become a human being and live their life on this earth, be born, and have different lives? Or can a human being who's on this earth, their spirit, when they pass, become an angel?
I don't know if I'm the ultimate expert to answer the question, but my perspective would be that they are two completely different evolutionary pathways. And so they are different beings than we are. However, a human being can ascend to be a kind of guide that is in service to the rest of humanity. And that would be, for example, what an ascended master might be. And an angel, a powerful angel, might be quite capable of manifesting a physical form in order to help fulfill its purpose of being of service. So I think I would say it that way in answer to your question.
Okay. No, I was just curious, because there's different ideals. Different people have different ideas on, an angel is, that there's a hierarchy, God, the universe, archangels, angels, spirits, guardian angels. There's a different hierarchy, and then human beings. Yet in biblically, one of the reasons the angels were sent, a third of the host of heaven went down, quote unquote, was because the angels thought they were better than man, but man is actually higher on that chart than angels. In essence, that's the biblical story of it.
So to me, and I was going to talk about this a bit later, I was going to talk about the myths that are created about angels. And so I would just say that what you're talking about there is relating to a human mythology about angels and what angels are. And you're right that often humans think about angels as having a hierarchy within their own organization. And they might even think about a hierarchy that positions humans and angels in different places in the hierarchy. But there's no hierarchy under God. There's no higher, lower, better, worse. There are different ways of spirit expressing itself, different ways of spirit experiencing itself as God and expanding its consciousness. So there is this idea about a hierarchy of angels, and I would say that they are organized and that we categorize them, don't we? Like you said, we talk about the great archangels, and we talk about guardian angels, and we talk about cherubim and seraphim and different categories of angels, because we like to categorize things and we like to label things. And I would just say that the angelic realm consists of a wide range of expressions of divine consciousness. So you might think of a great archangel as a huge, vast force of nature, capable of creating universes or galaxies or solar systems or planets, all the way down to the Devic kingdom, which I would say is another end of that angelic spectrum, which are spirits that are serving the growth of plants, or guardians of particular places, like Pele, who is an angel that presides over, the Hawaiian Islands, for example. So I was going to talk about that. So thank you for interjecting and allowing me to talk about that a bit earlier than I meant to.
Oh, I do my best.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, I tend to think of them as, so let's think about how has mankind projected this idea of angels. They think of them as that they're like humans. They think of them that they have wings and halos, and they play trumpets and they play harps. These are some stereotypes, aren't they, that we project onto angels. And that's not who they really are. They are energy beings, and they are so very powerful. Like I said, I like to think of them as great forces of nature. So, for example, in recent times, where we've been going through such a massive planetary shift, the divine angelic kingdom is coming and assisting, for example, with those planetary level shifts. That's part of the function and purpose of certain types of angels. Now, we do have angels that serve humanity. We do have guardian angels and other angels who are delighted to help humanity and help serve our planet. And they will gladly reveal themselves in a way that we can feel comfortable with. And so, if in order for you to recognize that you're communicating with an angel, you have to see a vision of a being with wings or a being with a halo, then sometimes they're quite happy to do that for you, because it helps you make that connection. They're neither male nor female, but they might present themselves as male or female, again, as a mechanism for facilitating communication with you. And they might even, cause themselves to project and appear in a certain way. But that's really just to help us to feel, to not be frightened, and to feel like we're talking with a benevolent being that wants to help us. So
yeah, because some people, I've heard tell that some people say the angels that they've witnessed are like 7 or 8 feet tall, huge creatures.
Sure, and I'm sure that they may appear that way and to people, because they can have what we would perceive to be a huge energy. Okay, so just to summarize kind of what we've said so far. Well, actually, the other thing, I don't remember if I've said this now, but they're often seen by us as messengers. The stories of angels in the Bible that come to reveal a message, and usually the message is it's like an allegory of some big, huge change, like the message of Jesus being born, for example. So they definitely show up in force when there are changes afoot. And which is why I was saying that there's a lot of angelic assistance for us right now, because there's massive changes afoot on our planet. So And they're available for all of us. They're available for all of us. There are guardian angels, angels that tend to you throughout this lifetime and other lifetimes. And and then there are angels, like I said, that tend to a specific location as opposed to tending to a person. There are angels for mountains or mountain ranges or lakes or waterfalls or groves of trees. And there are members of the Devic kingdom who belong to that same overall evolutionary grouping, who tend to nature, like particular trees or flowers and so on. The other thing I was going to say about how angels present themselves to us is, if you're a person who's very serious and takes yourself very seriously, maybe they'll show up with that kind of demeanor because you're more likely to accept that. So they will project certain characteristics as a way of greeting and interacting with you. So maybe we should talk a little bit about talking to angels, and how can you talk to angels? Because angels are talking to us all of the time. If we ask for help from an angel, you bet that they are there to assist you. But many humans, they ask for help and they feel like they're not receiving help. And it's not because the help is not there. It's because they are not perceiving the help. So I would say some of the things that would be useful if your goal is to communicate with angels is you have to minimize the vibrational gap between the great density of existing in a physical body on Earth and the lightness of being an angel, because the angelic kingdom, they're very much higher vibration than we are. So the more that we can work on our individual vibration so that we are healing ourselves and clearing the density and the misalignments out of our system, then the closer we can be to finding a zone where we can meet in the middle with the angels. So we're going to take a break now, and maybe when we come back, then we will talk a little bit more about talking with angels, and then we will take questions from our listeners. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello, everybody.
So tonight we're talking about angels and who are angels? What do angels look like? Do angels really exist? Do they have a role to play in our lives? And we've touched upon that a little bit already in the first part of the show. And we were just starting to talk about, well, how do you get to actually talk to angels? How do you get to talk to angels? Because you can't see them necessarily with your physical eyes. You can't hear them necessarily with your physical ears. But sometimes people find signs and symbols of angels that let them know that angels are around. And it's very common, for example, for people to find feathers and feel like that's a sign that they're connecting with the angels. I have a couple of personal stories which are when my grandfather passed away. My mom, who didn't know that he passed away, her tea bag burst in her cup of tea. And so she poured the tea into the sink, and the tea leaves formed the perfect image of an angel.
Oh, totally cool.
And that was a message that, you know, her dad was now with the angels. And so that really struck a chord with her. And she knew something had happened. And it was correct, he had passed away. And indeed, when my mom herself passed away, the very next day, I found an angel at my feet, and it was just a tiny little angel figurine that I was walking in a car park, and there it was by my feet. So so there can be physical manifestations that feel like that they are messages from angels in the angelic realm. I'll share another personal story, which is not really a physical object, but sort of. Years and years ago, I injured my back, and it was quite bad, and I was kind of bedbound for a while. And I started to hear music when no music was playing. And because I had nothing to do, I was sketching. And then I found that I was actually sketching angels. And the music that I was hearing was the music of the spheres, which is the music of the angelic realm. And as I recovered from that illness, sometimes I would go for a walk, and then I would feel like I couldn't go any further. And every time that happened, this music would play louder and louder. And that was the support of the angels, the healing angels around me who were assisting me and helping me to recover from having hurt my back. So those are examples of how we can receive messages of comfort from angels. You may, as your intuition opens up, you may start to hear the music of the angelic realm like I did, or you might start receiving little synchronicitous messages along your path, like a feather or a little angel figurine, for example, like I was talking about in my example. And before the break, I was saying, you know, if you want to talk to angels, one of the very, very best things that you can do is work on healing yourself, because their energy is very clear and very high. So the clearer that you can become, then the more a vibrational match that you can be. And the other thing about angels is, which differs from us, is that they are neutral. They are neutral, they are non-judgmental. And so the more that you can emulate the characteristics of an angel in the angelic realm within yourself, again, then the more that you will resonate with that group of beings, and the more that you will be able to potentially attune to them. So you may even start to see them. You may even start to see them and receive messages in other ways. So I wanted to share an example of a channeled message from the angels, and I realized that we did a show, which is episode number 289, where I shared a couple of channeled messages, one from Archangel Michael and one from Archangel Jophiel. So today I thought what I might do is share something that's just personal to me from my guardian angel. So, and what is a guardian angel? A guardian angel is an angel that is assigned to you, that may be there through not just this lifetime, but even many, many lifetimes. And so I've consciously known my guardian angel for a really long time. When I was in my 20s, if I used to have problems and troubles, I would call my angel and she would come along with a little canvas bag and I would just put my troubles in the canvas bag and she would take them away. So one day, again, when I was in my 20s, which is a long time ago, this angel started talking to me, and she talks to me in poetry. So I always know it's her because she talks in rhyme. And she gave me a poem, which is sort of like an anthem to our relationship with one another. So I thought I might just share that with you. And this is an angelic being that has been with me through many lifetimes. And I think even though it's a personal message, it's relevant to everyone. So the poem was like this. I trust my intuition. I trust my guiding forces. My angel with the guiding eye of Horus. I trust in you to teach me, to guide me through the pages, to take me to the stars and back, and lead me through the ages. The door of wisdom will unfold, a land of dreams before me. I trust in you to take me there and show me all its glory. I am your angel fair and bright, sparkling and dancing in God's light, singing and praising with all my might, always with you in my sight. Love is thy eternal flame, burning bright throughout the game. Heed me now as I proclaim a sound in light that is your name. I knew you then when you were small. I've been with you through it all. Pick you up when you fall. Put you right, Almighty. And then it's the name of a past life that I was, that I'm not going to say. Bringer of light, one with great sight, banisher of dark, ancient as the ark. Traveling far from your star, to earth you came, a burning flame. And I think that's beautiful. And as I was reading it, I can see how those words really can apply to any one of us and our relationship with our guardian angel.
Very true. It's very nice. That's a lovely poem.
Thank you. It means a lot to me, and that poem, when I was in my 20s, I was still a scientist. I hadn't gotten into all of this intuitive stuff yet. And yet that still got through. And I used to say it to myself all the time to remind me that I had such a beautiful, wonderful spiritual helper and supporter.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, you used the word that I found interesting, and I was pondering for a second. You said angels, like guardian angels, are assigned to us. Do you mean they're actually assigned to us, or they choose to be with us for a period of time?
They choose to be with us.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Yeah.
It's a choice for all of us. It's a spiritual agreement that we make. Well, I mean, I guess there's always free will and free choice. So it's being agreed to on an ongoing basis. But like I said, many of them are with us. If you think about the words of the poem I just read, maybe this can just, I'll pull out some of the words because they do have meaning, right? I trust in you to teach me, to guide me through the pages, to take me to the stars and back and lead me through the ages. Lead me through the ages. That is all lifetimes on earth, and take me to the stars and back, all lifetimes on earth and in other places, other realities. So it's indicative of a really deep and all-abiding, long-lasting relationship, isn't it? Yeah. And the other thing I like in the poem, it says, heed me now as I proclaim a sounding light that is your name. That angel knows my unique vibrational energy signature, the aspect of God that I am. The part of me that is beyond this incarnation, beyond any incarnation, but is the very core of my being, that the relationship is on that level. And it says, you know, I knew you when you were small. I've been with you through it all. Yes, that's when I'm small this lifetime, but it's also on all of my adventures through time and space. And ancient as the ark, right? Traveling far from your star to earth. So it definitely speaks to a reality beyond our limited human lifetimes.
So we're talking about the angelic realm, angels, archangels. A lot of people would try to include demons in that as well. What's your outlook on that, Dr. Leslie?
Good one. Well, I would say my outlook on that is shifting and evolving.
Oh,
and I have a couple of different perspectives on that. And maybe for one perspective, I will refer to some channeled material, which is channeled material from the 1970s called The Law of One, from a channeled being called Ra. And that channeled being is the same Ra that was known in ancient Egypt. So it was a being that came and helped the ancient Egyptians, and they worshipped as the sun god. But that being gave a perspective on what you just asked about. And so it basically talks about the evolution of consciousness as we travel through different densities and different realms of expression. So the human realm of expression, we call it third density, or 4D, time, space, reality, dense physical bodies. And then there is an evolutionary pathway, and we're on the cusp right now, moving from third into fourth density. And in fourth density, we're getting lighter, and we're operating more from love and acceptance. And then the next evolutionary step beyond that is fifth density. So one might say fourth density is, we start to learn, we operate from love. Then the next level, we develop wisdom. And the level beyond that, we balance the love and the wisdom. And what he says is there are two evolutionary pathways. One is service to self, and the other is service to others. So service to others, we move through a pathway where we accept others, love others, cooperate with others, have compassion to others. And I believe that the alternate pathway, service to self, they actually bypass that and go straight to wisdom. And the way that they are operating is power over, manipulation of. And it also says that by the time you get to the 7th density, where you have to balance love and wisdom, those beings that went on the service to self pathway have to reverse the polarity, because you can't go any further. So that's one perspective that says that, well, you might call it good and evil, service to self, service to others. That's one perspective on this question. Another perspective is that some of these things that we might perceive as demons are thought projections of our mass consciousness. So myths that we have told ourselves about the evil that exists out there, and having believed it for millions of or billions of people over generations, all pumping and investing energy into this concept of evil, it becomes a thought form personified with its own energy, because we have invested our energy into it and we have created it through our mass consciousness. So that's another perspective on that. And a third perspective is, it's all us anyway. We have the dark and the light within us. And so it's a reflection of our own shadow side. And it's an unhealed, rejected, denied part of ourselves. And I think that it doesn't have to be that one of those perspectives is correct and the others are incorrect. I think that they're all valid perspectives. You know, that there are individual souls who choose a service to self-orientation as part of their evolutionary pathway. There are as many pathways back to God as there are souls in existence. And so it has to be that way, that all of these different choices are possible. And from a spiritual perspective, it serves us all in that it gives us, it helps us evolve when we have to face challenges along our path that appear perhaps to be delivered to us by by evil demons, and receive support that are, you know, offered by the angelic realm. So thank you for your question. I guess we'd better go to a break, and we'll be back after these messages. And after these messages, it's time for our listeners to share their angel stories or ask their questions about angels. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying our conversation about angels. And I'd love to know if any of you have any angel stories that you would like to share. I have some others if you don't, but I'm sure you're not shy. And I would also be happy to just answer any questions that you have for me.
I don't know. I wouldn't, like, I've had a visitation at night when I was young of 3 spirits, but I wouldn't be able to tell if they were angels or just spirits.
And so, does it matter? I mean, this
No,
is
it doesn't matter.
This is as in our human mind, we want to categorize things and put labels on things, don't we? And so that's almost full circle to your question at the beginning. Can an angel become a human? Can a human become an angel? You know, or can us, what's the difference between an ascended master and an angel, and all of these kinds of things. But I don't know that it matters how we categorize them, what label we give them. It's more important what the energy that they are being, the service they are offering, the 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 relationship itself.
True. No, I agree. It just, I was very young at the time, so it's hard to tell. But that experience, the experience itself, has lasted with me. It's like I'm there. It's like being there. I can see it as clear as day. It was great. So I have a. Um, Amber says, "Thank you for sharing about our energy signature, that our angels identify us through lifetimes. You clarify so much."
Oh, you're welcome, Amber.
That's a good point. And Sophia has a question. She says, "Are guardian angels different from spirit guides, soulmates from past lives here to assist us?"
Yeah, so I mean, again, we like to label and categorize things because that's how our human intellect likes to slice and dice and understand things. Are guardian angels different from spirit guides? I would say that your guardian angel is a form of spirit guide, but are all spirit guides guardian angels? No. So your guardian angel, is an angelic being, and its purpose, its role is to act as, in part, a spirit guide for you. Now, I think that there are guardian angels, like I said earlier, that don't relate to humans, but they're guarding more like a location, for example. And there are spirit guides who maybe we wouldn't describe them as an angel. Maybe we would describe them as an extraterrestrial consciousness. Maybe we would describe them as a group consciousness. Or maybe we would call them an ascended master because they've been a human being who has grown and evolved so much that they've ascended from their earthly incarnations, but have chosen a path of service to others in terms of serving the, the evolution of other humans. And we would call them a spirit guide as well. So I think that there's a wide variety of consciousness, expressions of consciousness, and many of them are available to us to assist and help us on our path. And sometimes, yes, somebody you've known in a past life could become a spirit guide for you in a future life. And yes, one of your soulmates, and my definition of soulmates is just, some that belongs, gosh, I'm going to have to get into soulmates and soul groups now. Let me try and say it in a shorter version. Your mother could pass away and become a spirit guide for you. Your grandmother could be a spirit guide for you. So there's a whole variety of expressions of consciousness that are available to assist us. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and she just added something on. She says, "And not all angels are omnipresent."
Well, that's a different statement. I mean, that's an interesting statement, because, and the answer, my comment on that is, there's a little bit of a paradox here. Because, yeah, we and perhaps they might experience themselves as an individuated consciousness. At the same time, they are part of the one great consciousness and all that is. So in some senses, we're all omnipresent. We're just having an experience as though we're not. Just to confuse us. Well, what I'm saying, Corey, is that we are all we are all drops in the one great ocean of consciousness.
Yeah, I was, when we were talking about them, I was thinking about the universe and the blending in the question, "Are we alone?" And I don't believe in this vast universe that we can be that possibly that we're the only life form in this, sentient life form in this whole universe. And so God, the universe, the great one and all, is not just our God, it's the God of the universe. The universe is the universe for the universe. And so you would think that angels, being not necessarily being omnipresent, but that angels would be reflective of who they're visiting as far as their appearance and how they look and things along those lines.
Right. I mean, I guess one other comment on the idea of omnipresent, I would say that an angel has a different perspective than we do. So we are limited in our perceptions as we exist as a human aspect. And an angel might be less limited, have a broader view, a broader perspective, be able to access. It's sort of like the difference between if you are standing on the top of a mountain and you can see the entire geography of an area versus if you are walking in the forest on the ground. We're walking in the forest on the ground. The angel's standing at the top of the mountain. That might be a metaphor for that.
Oh, okay, so Amber says, you've really struck a note for me currently about the Devic kingdom, and to quote, change is afoot right now. I have been finding messages in nature more and more recently. Any suggestions on this?
Suggestions?
Or comments, I guess.
Comments. So, well, I think as we move into a space of that oneness, as we evolve, we will be more and more aware and interactive with nature and the forces of nature. And I think it is a sign of your evolution to be one who is in tune with nature, one who is receiving and aware of the messages that one coming from nature. So that, I guess, would be my comment on that. I think it's just, beautiful and very encouraging. Do you know, I remember, again, around that time that I received that poem that I was talking about, I used to find feathers, and you wouldn't believe what kind of feathers I used to find everywhere. Pink flamingo feathers.
I'm sorry, that's funny. I heard you see a pink angel, pink angel wings. It's hilarious. This is from Dennis. It's a little off topic, but I don't know. It is suggested that the chakras have experiences of their own. If the chakras are sentient, which of the 114 chakras can communicate with words?
Which of the chakras can communicate with words?
Yeah, which of the 114 chakras can communicate with words?
So chakras are channels for consciousness. And they are channels of different states of awareness, different ways of perceiving things. So they are channels for spiritual communication, but spiritual communication, well, let's say, if the spiritual communication is coming from a high being of light, like an angel, then it is non-verbal. The communication is in patterns of light, is in symbols and pictures, is in multidimensional packages of information that, as it comes into your consciousness, you must translate into language if you want to talk about it, through your brain, through your intellectual mind. Now, there are forms of communication, I think, that might appear more verbal. If you think about clairaudience, where a song comes through that gives you a message, well, that comes through your fifth chakra, which, because clairaudience is one of the intuitive abilities that's channeled through the fifth chakra, but it's not coming through the fifth chakra as an individuated conscious being in its own right. So I have never heard that before, where somebody believes that the chakras are conscious beings in their own right. But I mean, I guess everything is consciousness ultimately, but I tend to think of them more as energy channels that channel information and that process life experiences and that allow you to perceive your reality in different ways.
Okay, here's let me just check for a second. Amber says flamingo is my favorite birds since childhood.
It's very Alice in Wonderland. When you think about it, it's very alternate reality.
Here's a term that I've heard mentioned before, and I think this is a biblical term: seraphim.
Seraphim.
Are you familiar with seraphim?
I am familiar with the words seraphim and cherubim. Mm-hmm. I would have to look at.
Aren't seraphim?
That's a category and a name that we have given to something. Isn't
aren't seraphim? If I remember correctly, seraphim, aren't they messenger angels? I
think all angels are messengers of a kind.
And I think seraphim are heralds.
I have
the highest order, ninefold celestial hierarchy, associated with light, ardor, and purity. And apparently there's 7 seraphims. They also line up with the Jewish tradition. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Jerubbaal, Raguel, Zarikiel, and Remiel.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was just a question.
Yeah, I mean, we've categorized angels, and so for example, the great archangels would be Michael, Jophiel, Chamuel, Raphael, Uriel, Zadkiel. And then there are lesser archangels. There are angels of the first order, angels of the second order, angels of the third order, seraphim, and cherubim. So seraphim, at least in this, I have a book by Kimberly Mulroney, Reverend Kimberly Mulroney, who has created these really great angel cards. And the images are from the old master's portrayal of angels. So she classifies the seraphim as Sandalphon, who is a seraphim of power, Nisroch, freedom, Hamied, miracles, and Zachariah, surrender.
Well, Dr. Leslie, a little angel has just sat on my shoulder and told me that that's it for this week.
Well, wonderful. So, well, thank you, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you in next week's episode.
So take care, everyone.